Apparently it was a popular decision. You shall feel the wrath of Hulkamania.
Welcome to the BJ Show. Let's rock and roll. Rock and roll. Come on, everybody. Let's lose control. Brad and John, they're the ones to follow. Yeah, ready for the ride. It's the BJ Show. BJ Show.
Might help if I turn my right microphone on. See, John, I don't do this for 2 days and I forget how to do anything. That's what happens when you get to be 90.
You did it perfectly this weekend, though, Brad.
That's what she said. Okay. That's the John Combest line. Okay. It is Monday. It is March. What am I saying, March? It's August 11th. Where'd March come from? August 11th, 2025. This is the Brad and John Show. And that is John Combest. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning to you, Brad.
And by the way, the huge supporter of the Washington Town and Country Fair. Huge supporter of the Washington Town and Country Fair.
Yeah, what a great group of folks, Brad. I'm sure there's an old radio guy out there that probably tried to broadcast to do some sort of pirate broadcasting thing, and they politely asked him to leave 20 years ago, and that guy probably holds a grudge. But other than that, it seems like a great group of people.
Do you want to hear that story sometime?
Sure. Yeah. I wondered about it, Brad. I wondered what precipitated. I'm sure you were completely reasonable and not ridiculous.
It was.
Yeah, we can talk about it in C block, Brad. We're in A block now.
Remember, well, when we get into it, remember I told you when I was in line to get some food and talking to two guys behind me who were talking about the WNBA. Remember the father and son?
I do remember that. Yeah, Brad.
Okay, there's another part of that story which is sort of interesting as well, too. Okay, so first and foremost, what we do is we start the show off with John Combest, who does this incredible website called johncombest.com, Combest, and puts together this site. It's like the mini Drudge Report for the state of Missouri, which highlights all this interesting stuff that you should know about. And nothing fancy. Matter of fact, it's done in a very simple format. What's that format again, John?
0.0.
Yes, we are on HTML5. John's still stuck at HTML 0.0. And there's no flash, there's no funny stuff, there's no banners, there's no GIFs, there's no GIFs, there's no video. It's just text with links. And all you do is you go to a site, you pick out a story you like, maybe multiple stories, you click on that link, away you go, it takes you there. But what we do is, on this show in the morning, we start off with this guy. Your name, sir?
I'm Casey Kasem.
And he counts down John's top three. And we start off with...
In third place.
Well, Brad, I chose this one because I knew it would raise the hackles of an old fuddy-duddy like Brad that's all about not spending taxpayer money on stuff. The saga of St. Louis Sheriff Alfred Montgomery continues with a brand spanking new piece in today's St. Louis Post-Dispatch from reporter Austin Hugelet. Here's the headline. St. Louis Sheriff spent office cash on patches, photos, and a defense attorney. A fresh crop of spending reports have come from Alfred Montgomery's office, Brad. Now, you know that in the past, you have actually highlighted the fact that $56,000 of the sheriff's office money was spent to buy Mr. Montgomery a shiny black Chevrolet Tahoe. He spent $28,000 on gold-plated badges and $18,000 for brand new uniforms. But some of the new spending stuff, Brad, is nearly as exciting. So, for example, a brand new flag, only $380. So you think, okay, that's not really a big deal. But another $5,000 to retain a defense attorney who specializes in federal criminal defense. You know, Alfred wanted to get out in front of the idea that he might someday face prosecution. And also, the sheriff's office signed off on, it's so hard to say this without laughing, signed off on $11,700 for new uniform patches, Brad. That's not $11,700 for brand new uniforms, but just the patches. And Montgomery's office says that every group of folks that come in, every new sheriff's department team designs a brand new badge and contracts for badges. So what's the big deal about $12,000 for badges? This is under the broader umbrella of the fact that AG Andrew Bailey, is looking at this office and is not pleased with what he's seen, Brad. We talked about it 2 weeks ago. Bailey says that he's looking into this office because there are just so many hijinks going on. And Austin ends with a quote from the immortal philosopher and philanthropist and intellectual Sheen Bean Aldridge. He's an ally of the sheriff, and he says he spent money on stuff that's not smart. Maybe this makes him think. So even Sheen Bean Aldridge thinks that maybe Montgomery's starting to, kind of cross a line and needs to be reeled in a little. Brad, let me guess. You're all upset about the office hiring a separate contracted criminal defense attorney and buying new patches and stuff, aren't you?
John, I don't have my, I need this. I need that drop. What's that movie from? Badges? We don't need no stinking badges.
That's from the Mel Brooks classic Blazing Saddles.
Well, it's actually from a movie before that. They were making fun of it.
Oh, I didn't know that, Brad. That's a good piece of movie data.
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, I think it's a Humphrey Bogart movie, if I'm not mistaken.
So that was a parody of Humphrey Bogart.
Yes. I'll see if I can.
Interesting. I never knew that. Thank you for that, Brad.
Yeah, I'll think if I find it. Okay. I don't know. So in other words, a couple things caught my attention. Every sheriff who comes in redesigns the badges? Why is that?
Well, according to David Mason, he's the sheriff's office attorney. He said that, every group that comes in, they want to put their own stamp or their own badge, I guess you could say, on the office, Brad. So it's really not that big of a deal.
Well, I don't know if it's still the case, but I don't know if you know this or not, but there used to be, and maybe they're still out there, a company in Washington called Hodges. You ever heard of this before?
No. Are they related to O.T. Hodges Chili Parlor?
No. This company did the badges for almost all the police departments in the entire country. They were like the company that does all the badges. And there are some badges that the design, like, for example, if you look like at the Los Angeles Police Department badges, I think those have been the same for like decades. And so, this whole thing, John, you know what cracks me up about this?
What's that?
When you started telling the story, I thought of a situation, me personally, years ago, and I won't say where this was, but I was doing some work, some radio engineering work for shall we say, a public education-owned radio station. I won't specifically give the call letters where it was because people know exactly what I'm talking about, and the guy may still be alive, and I don't want to embarrass him. But the guy who was essentially my boss was the dean of this department, and every year he bought new trash cans. Every year. And they would literally throw the old trash cans away. Now we're not talking about cheapy plastic Rubbermaid trash cans. We're talking about expensive decorator kind of, steel, chrome kind of expensive trash cans. And every year they would buy new trash cans. And I thought to myself, I've got trash cans, even when I was a youngster at that point in time, I've got trash cans that were like 10 years, 20 years old. Why do you need new trash cans every year? And it was just, to me, it was sort of like, A, I don't get it, and B, talking about, peeing away the taxpayers' money. You know what I'm saying?
I get exactly what you're saying. And to clarify, Brad, what I said earlier, it wasn't Mr. Mason from the sheriff's office. It was another guy who's a 31-year veteran of the department. He said, quote, every sheriff changes the patches. So I guess we really shouldn't be upset about it. If every sheriff does it, then that means that's just standard operating procedure. Why should anybody question it if every sheriff does it?
I have been, and this is another example. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I've been in positions where I have done government work, and I have tried to, at every point in time, do it most efficiently and most cost effectively as possible. Why is the mindset of so many people who get into positions of political, if they're working for a government or things like that, that it's like, oh, not my money. It's taxpayer money. Who cares how we spend it? What part of the brain does that come from, John? Do you know?
Yeah, I think it comes from the fact that they've seen their modeling behavior they've seen from other pointy-headed bureaucrats. And then they look over at the agency next to them, be it a federal agency or sometimes a state agency or certainly a city agency, and say, well, look at what they're doing. It's not so bad. We're not as bad as them.
I don't get it. We're ready for number two?
Oh, yes, we are.
Up a notch to number 2.
A really sweet inspirational event over the weekend in Ferguson. On Saturday, folks gathered to commemorate the 11-year anniversary of Michael Brown's assault on Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson. Brad, you remember this. You even attended the riots that ensued after that. But I say that it was an uplifting, inspirational event because as captured by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, their reporter, well-known reporter, David Carson, the highlight, Brad, for me when you look through here is, quote, people defiantly raised their middle finger to the police during a ceremony on Canfield Drive. So, Brad, to honor Michael Brown, in unison, everyone lifted their middle finger to show the amount of respect they have to law enforcement officers. Isn't that sweet, Brad?
They really did that in unison?
Yeah. It's in. I have a link up to it. Gosh, what would that have been? That would have been yesterday, Brad. Yeah, so you can see it's a really sweet thing. The second sweetest thing is that Cori Bush is holding a microphone and probably shouting unnecessarily into a microphone. A megaphone. So I'm guessing she was the keynote there, Brad, at this Michael Brown thing. Yeah, but this David Carson picture is just beautiful. You know, it's just, you even see in the foreground one white hand with a middle finger up. And then there's just, realistically, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch said that the protest drew 70 people. So I don't know. I think that's beautiful. If everybody did one finger, then that's 70 middle fingers to honor Michael Brown. And when you think of it, Brad, when you think of what a gentle giant Michael Brown was and how he spent his last day bullying and intimidating a minority store business owner, stealing a bunch of cigarillos, and then attacking a law enforcement officer, what better way to honor someone with the integrity and the bright future of Michael Brown than to lift the middle finger up to police?
John, for those of you who've never listened to the show before, our people who are new, John and I are both North County boys. I'm a little bounced around a little bit because I was born in North City and lived in North City for a while, then lived in Jennings, then lived in the unincorporated area referred to Spanish Lake. I lived on Claudine, where unfortunately that poor girl from Hazelwood East got the beat down right there on Claudine. Then when I got married, I lived on North Hanley and Hazelwood. So I am a true dyed-in-the-wool North County boy, as well as John is. John, back in the day, did you ever have friends in Ferguson? Did you ever go into Ferguson?
Oh, yeah. I had one of my best friends live right off Hudson Road.
Okay. Describe Ferguson.
A beautiful, beautiful community, a ton of really nice homes. You picture an area that was beautiful prior to, the 1990s and the neighborhood, quote, changing. It was just a beautiful community, Brad.
Thank you, John. My impression as well, too. As a matter of fact, the sad part of this is, if you go back in history, Ferguson was doing all sorts of good things. The mayor, what was it? Was it Mayor Knowles? He's doing something else now. Somebody just told me he's doing some kind of thing. Anyway, Mayor Knowles, I believe that was his name, was doing a lot of work on infrastructure, doing things to beautify Ferguson. Matter of fact, I don't know, I think I told this one time before, I actually got married at a church in Ferguson.
You did tell me that, Brad.
So, and it was a very nice area. Matter of fact, back in the day, one of the big high points, I know this is going to really date me because I'm an old guy, but Peaches Records was right there in the corner of, what was that, Airport, or Chambers and West Florissant. And it was a huge, anybody went and you bought your albums of Peaches Records. And do you remember Peaches Records? Is that too early for you, John?
No, that was before. I mean, I can picture right where Chambers and West Florissant is, Brad, but I didn't know that there was a record store there.
Yeah, big Peaches store. And one of the interesting things was, one of the things that Peaches had when they had rock groups and stars and come to the store, and they would pour a slab of concrete out in front, and just like the Hollywood Walk, they would the stars would get down on their hands and knees and put their handprint and stuff like that and sign the concrete and the whole bit. And it was always cool. You go up there and look, oh cool, look at who's been here. And I love Ferguson. Matter of fact, when I worked at Florissant Valley Community College is in Ferguson.
It is.
I mean, and
I'm sorry to interrupt, Brad, but also as a dual piece to this, the Ferguson officer who suffered severe brain injury
yes.
a year ago, is starting to rehabilitate. And Brad, I have that piece up today on johncombest.com. The headline is Injured Ferguson Officer Continues Medical Progress. Now, Brad, jokes aside, one of the better things about the weekend is even though 70 people came up to lift a middle finger to the police in unison to honor Michael Brown, more than 100 people showed up to commemorate and pray and send their best thoughts and wishes to the officer who is recovering. So even in Ferguson, Brad, you have more people willing to come and pray for a man who's injured than you have to raise a middle finger to the police.
Well, the point I was saying was, how many times on radio and TV and in print do you see people refer to Ferguson and they make it sound like you have to have body armor and an AR-15 to go through Ferguson? You know what I'm saying, John? I
do get it, yeah. And I mean, I wouldn't go up there today in 2025, but for many years it was a really nice area.
John, you really wouldn't? Seriously?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
God, I was in Ferguson last week.
I bet you were, Brad. You know who's not going to Ferguson? The subject of story number one.
The number one.
Some good news from a favorite Missouri son. Billy Long is leaving the IRS and will be appointed to be ambassador to Iceland. This is great news, don't you think, Brad? Can you imagine having to deal with a bunch of IRS stiffs to then go in and being an ambassador to a cool, beautiful country? What do you think, Brad?
You really want me to tell you?
Yeah, tell me.
Sounds like...
You would rather go to Ferguson than go to Iceland.
No, it sounds like he screwed up and they're going to send him away to a country that nobody cares about. Now, I know the Icelandic people would not be happy for me saying that, but that would be like saying, hey, John, you did such a good job at Monsanto. We're going to promote you. We're going to promote you to the Walmart insecticide aisle, and you will greet people as they walk down the Walmart insecticide aisle and instruct them as to which is the right spray they should use for the bugs that are flying around their house. Right, John?
That is fantastic. Monsanto didn't sell that stuff, but the joke is still taken. Now, Brad, here's a great piece. Billy Long says, quote, I am thrilled to answer his, being Trump, call to service and deeply committed to advancing his bold agenda. Exciting times ahead. Now, here's the part. Here's why I included this, Brad, for you, just for you. In his last email to the IRS's workforce on Thursday, Long told agency employees they could leave 70 minutes early on Friday. He's offered early dismissals at the end of the week on several occasions, one employee said. So it seems like, Brad, there's some middle managers at the IRS who were not happy that Billy Long was telling people they could leave early on Friday.
John, you know what the population of Iceland is? The entire country? Take a guess.
I'd say 23 hot blondes.
404,000. That's the entire population of Iceland.
Nice. So, you know, Brad, if you took the Westplex and you picked it up and you moved it to a certain area, it would be right between Tulsa and Minneapolis.
John, I was just going to say the entire population of a country is less than the population of the Westplex.
There you go, Brad. Now, speaking of reading your mind, as we close segment A and we prepare for Brad's top three, here's the subject email line from Billy Long. Are you ready? Can you handle this, Brad?
Go ahead.
It's almost Friday. Do you know anybody who used to say Friday all the time on Westplex 107.1, Brad?
Shelley?
That's exactly right. You win a super prize, Brad. Did he win a St. Louis Bread Company lunch?
Did he really say that?
Yeah, the subject line was "It's almost Friday."
Now hold on a minute. Was I hit my microphone there? I'm sorry. Was he chastised for letting the workers go home early on Friday?
Yeah, that was so. Apparently, and this is, if you dig a little deeper into these stories, there were at least some folks there who he clashed with, and it appeared as though some of the stuff that he did, like, I guess he complained off the record, Billy Long complained off the record, that in order to do anything, the most basic stuff of the office, he had to get, a half dozen people to sign off up above him, and he had like no autonomy. And so the telling people to leave 70 minutes early on Friday is just an example of the fact that he didn't go to people and ask them, as I understand it, if he could tell people to leave early on Friday.
Well, why would he tell people to leave early on Friday anyway? I don't understand that.
Well, because he's not Brad Hildebrand, and he realizes that people have a life and they should, have a little free time on a Friday.
Well, once again, our tax dollar's not at work. Get what I'm saying, John?
Hey, you know what? Like Donald Trump said, Billy, don't you lose my number.
I heard he said, Billy, don't be a hero, but that's not.
That's before my time, probably.
Billy, don't be a hero. See, all this good music you missed out on, John.
I know. I didn't go to Peaches, Brad. I'll go there tomorrow. I'll send a proxy so I don't have to drive on Chambers Road.
And they had a banging sound system with Serwin Vega speakers. Oh, it was good. Okay.
Ooh, sounds fantastic.
Okay, we'll be back with Brad's top 3 right after this.